Development of nervous system. So nervous system include the central nervous system, that is the brain, the brainstem, which includes the midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, the little brain or the cerebellum, and the spinal cord. This is called a central nervous system. The 12 pair of cranial nerves, the 31 pair of spinal nerves, and the sympathetic, parasympathetic ganglions, and the sensory ganglion along the spinal nerves, the sensory ganglion, sympathetic and parasympathetic ganglions. These collection of neurons outside CNS and these nerve fibers together, it's called as peripheral nervous system. So today we see the development of the central nervous system. So the central nervous system is actually developed in the embryo from the ectoderm. So what is this ectoderm? To understand this, I will just show you one embryo which is in the form of a shape of a disc. If I cut this embryo, you will observe there are three layers. The outer layer is called the ectoderm, that is towards the skin. The inner layer is called the endoderm. Middle layer is called the mesoderm, and the innermost layer is called the endoderm. So here is the endoderm, the innermost layer. The middle layer is called the mesoderm, which gives rise to the muscles of the body and the connective tissue. The outermost layer, which gives rise to the skin, is called the ectoderm. So ecto means towards the skin, ectoderm. So the central nervous system actually develops from the ectoderm. In the dorsal midline, initially there is a thickening, it's called the notochord. It will be there in the mesodermal layer, but actually it's developed from the ectoderm and moves to the mesoderm. It's called the notochord. This notochord helps in the formation of the central nervous system. So what does this notochord do? Here is the notochord. The superficial ectoderm opposite to the notochord in the dorsal midline. Dorsal means posterior midline, where a backbone is there now, over there. Okay, that area will get thickened to form a plate called as neural plate. So there are so many neural coming up, so please concentrate. The neural plate is a thickening of the surface ectoderm on the dorsal midline opposite to the notochord. So what happens to this neural plate? It's getting thickened. So the thickening will spread across the developing embryo like this, like a slipper shaped swelling. So it is expanding rapidly, it's growing very rapidly. So the neural plate develops one depression in the center. This depression is called the neural groove. I will show it here. Because it's growing so fast, there is one depression in the center. So the depression is called the neural groove. So this neural groove, it's meeting the surface ectoderm at an elevation, that's called the neural crest. So this portion is called the neural crest. On either side of the groove, you can see there are two folds, right? This right side and left side. These are called as neural folds. So I'll repeat one more time for your convenience. The neural plate, which is a thickening in the dorsal midline, it is growing rapidly, and this neural plate, because it's growing rapidly, but the embryo is not growing rapidly, embryo is remaining like that. So it develops a depression in the posterior midline. The depression is called the neural groove. This neural groove, this depression over here, is bounded on either side, right and left side, by folds, neural folds. When it is touching the surface ectoderm, you can see one elevation like a hump. It's called the neural crest. So neural groove is a depression in the neural plate in the posterior midline. Neural folds are on either side of the neural groove, and neural crest is an elevation between the neural folds and the surface ectoderm. So in future, what happens subsequently in the at the end of the 4th week, the like cells of the neural fold of one side joins with the like cells of the neural fold of other side to form a tube. What tube? Neural tube. The surface ectoderm gets detached, the neural crest gets detached from the surface ectoderm to form a separate swelling. So this is a surface ectoderm. The neural crest cells got detached from the surface ectoderm to form the ganglia. So this is the neural crest now. It's got detached from the surface ectoderm. This is a surface ectoderm. And this is the neural tube. And here is the notochord. So the neural tube gave rise to the CNS. The neural crest gave rise to the PNS. The ganglions in the PNS, the sensory ganglion, the autonomic ganglia, the sympathetic ganglia, parasympathetic ganglia, everything is coming from the neural crest. The neural tube will give rise to CNS, the brain, brainstem, the spinal cord, cerebellum, everything is developed from the neural tube. To understand the neural tube further, I will just show you the embryo. So the neural tube in the embryo, this is the embryo, you can see the neural tube. So this is the neural tube. Initially the tube is not closed at the anterior end and the posterior end. There is an opening called as neuropore. So at the end of the 4th week, both the neuropores, the anterior neuropore and the posterior neuropore, closes to form the complete neural tube. So this is the neural tube completed. This neural tube is a cylindrical tube from the cranial end, that is the upper end, to the caudal end, that is the lower end of the embryo. From the cranial end to the caudal end or the tail end. Cranial means head end. These are the two ends of the neural tube. So what happens subsequently is interesting. The cranial end of the neural tube gets 3 dilatations, like this, and like this. 3 dilatations, 3 vesicles we call it as. The first one is called the forebrain vesicle. Forebrain vesicle. The second one is called the midbrain vesicle. Midbrain vesicle. The third one is called the hindbrain vesicle. Hindbrain vesicle. So there are 3 vesicles: the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain vesicle. The forebrain vesicles give rise to the cerebral hemisphere, the telencephalon, and the thalamus and hypothalamus, that is called as diencephalon. The midbrain vesicle gives rise to the midbrain, very simple. The hindbrain vesicle gives rise to the pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. The remaining portion of the neural tube, which remains cylindrical like this, which remains cylindrical like a cucumber, forms the spinal cord. Later, after the formation of all these vesicles, there is a rapid mitosis of the cells, especially in the forebrain vesicles, resulting in sulci and gyri in the cerebral hemisphere. So this is about the formation of the CNS. Initially the neurons will be like this, spherical cells. Later they develop one process like this. Subsequently it develops 2 processes like this, that's called the unipolar, and this is called the bipolar neuron, and subsequently it develops multiple processes, so it will form the multipolar neuron. This is at cellular level. So in order to summarize, just give me a second. Development of the CNS is as early as the initial part of the 4th week. From the dorsal midline there is a thickening called as neural plate. This neural plate becomes a groove, neural groove. You can see this in this diagram. These neural grooves have a fold, neural folds. The like cells of one neural fold joins with the like cells of the other neural fold, right and left neural fold, to complete a formation of neural tube. Initially there is opening at the upper end and lower end. They are called neuropores. After the formation of the circulatory system, even the neuropores will close to form the neural tube like this. This is the cranial, the head end, and this is the caudal end of the neural tube. Subsequently, this cylindrical neural tube, like a cucumber, this neural tube is there in the dorsal midline. This is formed because of the notochord. This neural tube will have 3 dilatations: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain vesicles. The cranial end of the neural tube will have 3 dilatations. The forebrain vesicle will give rise to the prosencephalon. The midbrain vesicle is also called as mesencephalon. The hindbrain vesicle is also called as rhombencephalon. If you are wondering what is this, encephalon means N means within, cephalo means head. Within the head, of course, we have the brain. Prosencephalon means forebrain. Meso means middle. So, mesencephalon means midbrain. Rhomben means behind or hind. So, rhombencephalon means hindbrain. The lowermost part of the neural tube remains cylindrical to form spinal cord. That is very straightforward. So, in future, what happens to the prosencephalon? I already told you, prosencephalon will grow rapidly to form the cerebral hemisphere, sulci and gyri. The lower part of the prosencephalon give rise to the diencephalon. The upper portion give rise to the telencephalon, which forms the cerebral hemisphere. Diencephalon give rise to thalamus, hypothalamus, metathalamus. Don't worry about that. Mesencephalon give rise to the midbrain. The rhombencephalon give rise to the pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. And the lower part of the neural tube give rise to the spinal cord. I will summarize one more time. Prosencephalon give rise to the telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon is cerebrum, diencephalon is thalamus, hypothalamus. The mesencephalon give rise to the midbrain. Rhombencephalon give rise to the pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. The remaining part of the neural tube give rise to the spinal cord. Thank you.